your mind is creating your reality. If you hang out on the internet a lot and you like spiritual topics, definitely you must have heard about that before. So what the Vedic philosophy says about that we will discuss in this video. So the mind is the most powerful thing in this world. And the mind does not only control our perception of reality and how we react to reality, but it also is a medium through which things will get manifested. So for instance, when a house is getting built, first, before it is getting built, it was the desire to build a house was in someone's mind. So the owner who wants to build a house, first in his mind, he has a picture how he wants how the house should be like, what material should be used, and so on. And he will bring this idea to an architect, and the architect will draw it out on paper, and then it will go to the workers, and they will start building. So before something manifests in the world, it is in a subtle state. It is in someone's mind. So therefore, the mind creates the reality. So therefore, it is said also that if you want to change your reality, you have to change your mindset. So if you analyze it deeper, and the Vedic scriptures do that, especially the Bhagavad Gita is talking about that. If you analyze it deeper, then the mind is only a tool. Actually, the impulse of action or the impulse of desire doesn't come from the mind itself. It lies deeper, it comes from the soul. So the Vedic scriptures, they explain it like that the senses, that this includes also the working senses like the hand and the arms and the hands and the legs, they are above matter, the gross matter. So the senses, they can shape matter, they can rule over matter. And then above the senses, there is the mind. The mind controls the senses. And above the senses, there is the intelligence. The intelligence is the deliberation power of the mind. Like, you can make plans, you can discriminate and think about good and bad and so on. With intelligence. And then above the intelligence, there is the soul. And the soul is the living force, is the spiritual spark, the source of consciousness, and that's the real self, actually the real self. And the soul power, or the soul's quality, is to desire. So actually desire to do something comes from the soul. The energy to do something comes from the soul. So if the soul is leaving the body, then the body is completely useless, and the mind also cannot function, because the source of energy of life is the soul. So however, so that's, for instance, this example with the house. Someone, he develops the desire to build a house, and the intelligence starts to think how it will be possible. In the mind there is the clear picture, and the mind will instruct the senses to become active, and the senses, they will then shape the reality. So that is the way things manifest in this world. So, and what actually is the main driving power of all actions on the material plane is desire. This is this karma. And we discussed about this in the video about Shiva and the Linga and the Yoni, that in the union of Shiva and Parvati and the Maya, the material energy, there this karma bija is created. This the seed of desire, the seed of desire of being active on the material plane. So the whole world works because desire is there. Material desires to act on this material plane is there. And therefore it is said in the Vedic philosophy that we are the living souls who take bird in the material atmosphere, they are conditioned souls. Because we have forgotten our spiritual identity, and we have forgotten our spiritual origin, which is the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And we have also forgotten our spiritual home, which is the spiritual sky beyond the universe. And we are now incarnated in this world. We are having a material intelligence, a material mind, a material body, material senses, and we are like overpowered by this karma, by these material desires. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that this is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the self-realization, of the spiritual self-realization. And it is informed that the dwelling place, or where this karma, this desire is taking place, taking his residence, is the intelligence, the mind, and the senses. So in the conditioned stage which we are in, where we have forgotten our spiritual identity, and the intelligence and the mind are contaminated by material desires, and it is said it covers this material desire. They cover the soul in different grades. There are 3 different grades. Like it is said, like the mother, when she's pregnant, her belly covers the baby, and the baby's inside is completely unable to move, unable to act. So this is compared to the state of the trees and plants, because their consciousness is so much covered by material desires that they have gotten a body that cannot move. And then the second state is the covering from a mirror is covered by dust. So if a mirror is completely covered by dust, you cannot see your face. Practically not, very, very distorted, or practically you cannot know. So there is some more consciousness comes through, but it's still very covered. And that is compared, this comparison is given for the animal life. So in the animal life, the soul exhibits more consciousness, but it's still very, very covered. And and then the third state of covering is the smoke covers the fire. So already some fire is there, consciousness is already sprouting, is already something is there. If there is no if there is a smoke, there is fire, but still the smoke is too much. It's not really, the fire is not really igniting, it's still just smoking. So that is the state of the human beings. And it is said that the human form of life has already developed so much consciousness that if you properly handle the smoke with enough air, with enough maybe fuel and stuff, you can ignite the fire. So the human form especially is meant to actually fully manifest our consciousness again, to fully come to soul consciousness. So, however, this is a little bit away from the topic. So the topic is actually that your mind is creating your reality. So what we have now is this explanation that there is the soul. Then the soul is at the moment covered by a material intelligence and material mind, and the material body, and the material intelligence and the material mind, they are covered by, or they are like hijacked, so to say, hijacked by desires, material desires. And Bhagavad Gita explains how this desire develop. They develop by association, or now by association, where we are like putting our focus, our attention goes. We will develop attachment, and that attachment develops desires, and so on. And the desire will make us act in a certain way, and these desires, they will create our reality. So therefore we can see, like, therefore I would suggest for this video, like, it is said that your mind creates your reality, but what I would like to establish with this explanation is to say that it is not your mind. Your mind is just a tool in the whole story. It is your desire that creates your reality. So for instance, somebody has a desire to eat meat, let's say. Somebody has a desire to eat meat, and then this desire will take over his intelligence, this desire will take over his mind, and this desire will take over his senses. So that if you argue with someone who has a strong desire to eat meat, you can bring forth all the good arguments for a vegetarian diet, but he will not accept it. Rather, he will bring so many arguments, he will use his intelligence to justify meat eating. He will bring health reasons, vitamin and iron deficiencies and this and that, and he will say no, because the meat is cooked, it is easy to digest and it doesn't create any problem. Whereas the vegetarian argument will say no, the dharm of a meat eater is much shorter, but the dharm of the intestine, dharm is a German word, I mean the intestine of the meat eaters is very short, but the human intestine is as long as herbivores, so therefore humans are not meant to eat meat. So, but if you have a desire to eat meat, you will not accept these arguments, you will accept other arguments. That means your intelligence becomes subservient to your desire. You have a desire to eat meat, and then you will use your intelligence and your mind to support that desire. And in the other way around, if you have a desire to be vegetarian, your intelligence will will take all the arguments, value all the arguments that support that desire, and will refuse all the arguments that support meat eating. Or, yeah, that is one example. So, therefore, different desires create different perceptions, different mindsets, and shape your reality. So now comes the $1 million question. How to change your desires? So you can change your desires by changing your association. And association means to what you listen to, what type of informations you absorb and digest, and how you feed your mind, how you feed your intelligence. So let's say you're a meat eater, but you start to associate with vegetarians, and they will tell you their arguments why vegetarian is good. You see that they are healthy, you see that they are happy, you see that they're very kind, and slowly your desire will shift. Oh no, I should also become a vegetarian. But similar way, if you're a vegetarian and you start to associate with meat eaters, and you see how strong and healthy they are because they're eating meat, and how much testosterone they have, or whatever, I don't know. Then you slowly will become a meat eater. So according to your association, you shape your desires, and your desires will change your mind, will change your intelligence, will change your actions, will change your reality. So now we know that it is not the mind who creates our reality, it is our desire that creates our reality. And desire is shaped by association. So, according to the result you want, means the reality you want to live in, so you have to accordingly choose your association. But the Vedic scriptures, they do not encourage us like to go for different types of illusion and to be happy in the illusion. Like, let's say I want to be a rock star, so I should associate with people who know how to write songs and learn from them and shape my desires and my skills in that way. Or let's say I want to be a businessman, I learn how to run a business online and associate with people who do that. So instead of changing your association in this way and running from the rock star illusion to the rich man illusion, you should wake up to reality and not run from one bubble to another bubble. And the reality is that we are spiritual souls, and that we are at the moment entrapped into the mind and body who are contaminated with different desires, many different desires. So therefore the Vedic aphorism is there, and that urges us to go from untruth to truth, from darkness to light. So in order to do that, in order to purify our desires and stop running from one illusion to another illusion, we should change our association from material association to spiritual association. So we have to associate with persons who have spiritual desires, and thus we start to develop spiritual desires, and our material desires will diminish. And as such, our intelligence becomes spiritualized, our mind becomes spiritualized, our actions become spiritualized, and we will start to, our reality will become the spiritual world, will become the eternal, unmanifested spiritual world. And that is all possible through the association with spiritualists. And that is called in Sanskrit, this is sadhu sangha. A sadhu, that is a saintly person, is a spiritualist whose mind and intelligence is not contaminated by material desire, and who is in full self-realization, and his consciousness has fully blossomed. His consciousness is fully ignited, and he has a full realization: who is he, what is his relationship to God, what is his relationship to the world. And if you associate with such persons, our consciousness also will ignite, and we will become purified from different desires that create different types of illusions. So our mind, our desires create our reality. So if you want, and our association forms our desires. So if you want to wake up to the real reality of the real self, then we have to associate with spiritualists. Many thanks for listening, and see you in the next video.
पिबतो भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो